Hello, welcome. Today's Bitcoin price predictions. I haven't been here in a while. I've been kind of sick. I was just recovering from that. But from the time that I was gone, we kind of saw a push to the downside, at least a type of retest to the lows. In this video, we're just going to talk about whether this could be a further, reversal, more like a continuation to the downside, or if we could maybe see a bounce near here, or what's just going to be happening over the next few days, at least my predictions. So if we go into just the basic charts, we did end up seeing bearish divergence, which of course natural target is the yellow 55 exponential moving average, which we've already hit our target for that. So I would just say that bearish move is probably exhausted. Of course, we saw expanding volatility with that and the stochastic across the downside, and that is unless we get above 29,200, at least on this closure. One thing to keep in mind is that the more closures that we do get without getting a serious push to the downside, I would say more of like breaking let me just mark it off, like the lows from back here. I think it is extremely, it's extremely likely that we will end up seeing the stochastic flip up if we just kind of start to consolidate within this range. So it's just, it's good to keep in mind that unless we see a break below this point right here, just make that white, it's more visible. Unless we see a break below like 27.2, it's very likely that we will, see a bounce. But unless we see closure below that, then I would say, it's upwards. I would say sideways. It's probably sideways until I think two major things we should be looking at, and I'll go into this in a second, is whether a break above 29, about 30K, a bit of closure near 30K, and then either a closure 27. Of course, 30K will indicate we'll go further. Below 27, we're going to go down. So if we then go into our drawings, there you go. So this is actually a complex head and shoulders pattern. It's not the traditional type that you normally see. If you see right here, we have one shoulder right there, a second shoulder, then our head, then we come down. We have one shoulder right there, another right shoulder right there. So this is actually a complex pattern. This is very rare that we actually do see these like occur. Yeah, but they're extremely effective. They work the same way as the normal head and shoulders patterns work. So this is further confirmation that if we see a break below this point, of course we saw a wick into there, but we didn't see closures. As long as if we see closures like below this neckline type of thing, or I would just say if we see closures below the range of lows right here, it's extremely likely that we end up moving up to the expected move that we get with the head and shoulders pattern, which that would be about 24K if we saw a break to the downside. So that's about like a $3,000 move. $3,000 move, so that's pretty significant. Of course, there is a failure condition on this. Of course, it's more likely that we do see we end up seeing a downside move for this, but it is possible, and I'll go over this a little bit later in the video, that we could see if the failure condition met on this, which of course would be a break above the right shoulder here. So if we then measure that, it's about 24. I would probably say if we take it from like the top of it, probably like mid 24s, near 35. So if we then reference the CME, I believe that was our last, at least our last major, unfilled gap right here at about 34, 34.5, pretty much. So that would then end up having us fill that gap, which is probably very likely that we do end up seeing that. So yeah, that's just definitely something to think about. So just make sure to look if we see closures below or above that. We also did see a pretty good setup. If we go back, so this is a 6-hour setup for the stochastic. Is when we see a cross below the 20 range on the stochastic momentum, it then presents these statistics. So if we pull them up, about a 76% win rate. That's actually pretty significant. We can then, 50 total closed trades, which is actually perfect for a strategy like this. If we go, if we go to the performance summary here, let's see. Where is it? Here it is. Average winning trade. So if we see this actually working out, we should see about a 5.5% move. So if we then take it, of course this hasn't closed, but it's extremely likely that as long as we don't really end up breaking like serious below, it's extremely likely we do see this cross. But it hasn't happened yet, so keep that in mind. But 5.5% on price action would be like 29.2. So it's likely we see a bounce at least up to there. There's a possibility that we do see further confirmation on that. But, just another little thing to point out is that we do have bullish divergence on the 6 hour. Now, natural target would be 55 exponential moving average, so about this yellow, which then that would be about 3% move. So, yeah, it's likely we do see a bounce from here. If not, it's going to be extremely bad. But it's going to be very bad for Bitcoin. But actually, if we reference the failure condition, so in the off chance that we do see this bad, if we end up, going down, it's likely we see a 9.96% move. So if we then calculate that, there, 9.9. Oh, that's like about 24.5, yeah. So it's just, you're starting to see these things line up, at least for the downside. So it is likely that if we do see that break, we're going to see 24K for Bitcoin. It's extremely likely we see that. But, of course, if we see that move up, it's likely we see 35. Maybe a stop near like 32, possibility that we get that. But 35 would be in the books if we do see this closure. So these are just some things to be thinking about. Just remember these ranges. That's really all that's dictating this. Of course, at this point, there's a higher probability for a bounce. But a bounce doesn't always mean continuation to the upside. It could just be a bounce. And that's what everything will be unless we end up seeing closure above 29.3. So that's my general idea just for the day. I'll check back in later this week just to see how we're doing, see what setups played out, and we'll see what else is going to be happening. Whether we'll see further continuation to the downside or maybe a move up. Thanks.